Hello, welcome back to Oddly Specific, a show where I talk about things I like, but for talking about things I like, I sure do complain a heck of a lot. Today I want to cover romance, the genre, and the things that I really don't like about it, because I like to complain and I want to vent. And this is my time to do it, and I get paid to do it, so everyone has to suffer with me. I used to really hate romance as a genre, like it was my least favorite to read, and I don't know if you could tell from the fact that I have a 100,000 reads celebration video. I am a writer, and I'm a writer on Wattpad, and romance is one of the biggest genres on that website, and it's honestly one of the biggest genres in the world. Everyone reads romance, everyone watches romance, it's there, and we can't avoid it. It's just a part of the human watching experience. But I used to hate it a lot, much to the point where I would refuse to read it, much to the point where I was that edgy-ass motherfucker in middle school who would get angry when we had to read any book that had any romantic element in it, and all of my teachers hated me, and I feel kind of bad for them because I was a bit of a bitch. But, last couple of years, I've changed my mind. I am now a romance writer, and I'm no longer a hypocrite because I don't hate romance as a genre. I realized most of what I hated was some of the troubling tropes in them, and I'm going to go through that, starting with my least favorite one, which I've taken to calling the pure romance trope. Basically, what it is, in romance, whether it be a book, whether it be a movie, I am supposed to believe and value the fact that an adult woman has never been kissed before, has never held hands before, has never had sex before, because romance only means something when it's with that first person, and I'm supposed to believe it's more romantic that she's having this experience with this guy who is written to not really have that much of a personality, because low budget, badly done romance is like, they don't have personalities, they're just kind of hot. Not even that hot, they're just kind of like, if I squint, they're very attractive. They're just like the model of what most people think humans should look like, which turns out to be like generic white dude who smiles a lot and kind of looks okay naked. But you know, that's what I was taught to believe. But pure romance is my least favorite trope because there's no reason an adult woman can't have sex, can't have kissed before, can't have held hands before she gets into this relationship with this number one dreamboat. And it's like, yeah, if she's 34, has never done any of that stuff before, that's her choice, she can do that. It's the fact that in some romance and in the shows and movies and books that I read that have this trope, it's not necessarily her choice to have remained celibate, or her choice to have never kissed, or her choice not to hold hands. It's more that the author is trying to tell me that she should save herself for this perfect man, that's how everyone should do it, because if you don't, then your romantic life is worth less. And you know, that's a troubling trope. You should be, your love life doesn't mean less because you gave a dude a hand job on a bus. Your love life still A+, even if you fuck tons of people in the back of vans. Not that I'm speaking for personal experience, but if you do that, you know, your love life, still good. I also realized a lot of things I dislike about romance tend to pertain to the heterosexual romance, so a lot of these seem to be me. It seems like I'm talking hate about straight people. That's not what it is, it's just these books kind of suck. So next one, a lot of the men in romance suck, and I'll go through why. A lot of romance tropes seem to drive home the fact that men are supposed to be like really jealous and possessive, which is like, I touched on it in my dating sim episode, where it's kind of pushed on you that, yeah, he's gonna follow you home from school, and yeah, he's gonna break your phone and make sure you can't leave your house, and yeah, you're gonna be hanging out with your guy friends, and he's gonna be really pissed that you wore a skirt in front of other dudes, and then he's gonna bang on restaurant windows and go, come with me. That's all illegal, or it should be, but it's when a romantic interest does it in a book or a game or a show, you're told, aw, he just really cares about her, which is kind of, you know, fucked up. But there is a lot of push in the romance genre to make possessive, jealous men who in real life would be abusers and likely behind bars seem as perfectly fluffy romantic options, which is really, really fucked up. Most of the romance I read as a youngin' drove home the fact that jealous boyfriends were what you wanted, and when I was hitting puberty and I was thinking of what my future love would be, I wanted someone who was jealous. I wanted someone who would see me talking to someone and be like, hey, don't talk to my girl like that. Don't talk to my thing, my object of affection. So that's not how relationships should be. You shouldn't call someone a possession. You don't want someone to walk up to you and treat you like a possession. Stacy, you're not that hot. That's kind of like what romance books do. They give you an idea of what a perfect relationship looks like, and they romanticize the fact that these men aren't perfect. Most of them are abusers. Most of them are awful men you don't actually want to date. But we're not told this, because when we're reading a book, we're only reading from the main character's point of view, and the main character justifies everything that this asshole does to her. She's like, oh, he just really cares about me. Oh, he's just being sweet. Oh, you know what? It is my fault for wearing a skirt to a party. So we don't ever see that this is wrong, and then we get told that this is how relationships should be, and then we grow up and we write books and we realize, holy shit, this guy should be in jail. So that's also one of my least favorite romance tropes, and it's something that I would hope to stop seeing, but it's like the most common thing in romance is that you can see just step by step all the red flags raising of like guys stalking their affectionate partners and doing things that, you know, call the cops. Just constantly call the police. Even if you see a man and he's not even looking at you, just call the police. Because if he's looking at you, he's probably thinking of doing something illegal. Because, you know, you can't trust books anymore. I don't think romance is the most important thing in life, but I really have noticed that I really like them in books, and I consider myself, when it comes to writing and being a writer, I consider myself a hopeless romantic, and I love romance when it doesn't involve myself, really. I like putting characters together. I like to write about relationships, whether they be romantic or not. I like writing about two different types of people, or multiple different types of people coming together and making that work. And I think romance as a genre, because it's so wide and varied, and because there's really so many ways a story of two people coming together as a couple can be told, that it has a large range, and there's really no reason for some of these troubling tropes to be so common. But like the abusive guy, the pure romance thing, I see it a lot in like K-dramas, because I watch K-dramas a lot, and I don't know why, because I can't think of one that ever made me happy. I seem to watch them purely to be angry, purely to make myself unhappy. It's the same thing with like romantic comedies, with like this two 30-year-old adults are like freaking out over holding hands in public for the first time. That's not a thing that I've ever seen happen. I barely see couples hold hands anymore anyway, but I've definitely never seen two grown-ass adults freak out about holding hands like they're 13-year-olds at a fucking dance party and they've never seen grinding before and they're eager to try it. I've never seen two adults act that way. But then I guess you also have to understand that a lot of the romance that we watch and consume is usually targeted towards a younger audience than the actual age of the characters. Yeah, that's why I have a problem with that as a genre, because A, we're telling youngins that now any experience they have as a young person is worthless. They have to wait, they have to hold themselves and wait and keep themselves ziplocker like fresh for this future man that they might never meet. Like romance just gives you like a false perception of like what you're gonna end up with. No one buys flowers anymore. No one really writes their own wedding vows. No one's fucking sweet. Sweetness doesn't exist. Like, look at me, I'm a bitter ass bitch. Like, I'm never going to pick someone up with a corsage. Why the fuck would I do that? I'm never going to, like, write poetry about a person. Y'all ever write poetry about people? When you see someone in a romance book or in a movie or something, write poems about someone, and we cry and we think it's so sweet. You know, I had a guy write a poem about me in 8th grade. I fucking cried to the principal and was like, this man is going to hurt me. You know what poetry is in real life? Creepy. That's what it is. Don't fucking write it. Just keep it to yourself, because I promise you it's not good, and the person you want to read it to is going to make fun of you. A lot of things in romance you just can't do in real life. I'm a total hypocrite for saying this, but we as people, as writers, should maybe write more realistic romance. I know for a fact I definitely don't. When I write romance, and when most people do, we write the idealized like vision we have of what a romantic relationship is like, which is why the people who write the abusive men are probably a bit fucked up. I sure hope my romantic interest in my books aren't abusive or creepy or shady, but I can say that when I write those relationships, the ones that I don't intentionally write as unhealthy, and I do have some of those, but the ones that I write as healthy relationships, I do idolize them. I do think about them as this is what the perfect pairing would be for at least these two people. And I guess that's kind of why we read romance and why we consume it, is because we want something outside of ourselves that is just this perfect mingling of souls. Soulmates tropes are stupid. I hate the soulmate trope. I hate putting the idea in anyone's head that you are not a complete person without someone else, because you are. Everyone's a complete person. We're born alone unless you have a twin, then I guess that's fucking weird for you. You have someone else in the world who looks exactly like you, probably thinks like you. You're not an individual. But for us normal people who don't have twins, you know, we're born complete. You don't need another person to make yourself feel whole, and there are plenty of people who live their whole lives without romantic relationships, and they're fine. They're not broken. There's nothing wrong with them, and we need to not push that idea, which is why I just hate soulmates as a trope. And like, you spend any time on a writing website like I do, you're gonna find like hundreds of like soulmate alternate universe stories. Not hating on them, not saying that those are all badly written stories because I haven't read them. I'm just saying as a trope, I'm tired of it. One of the most common ones is like, you're born with a tattoo that is the first words your soulmate will ever say to you. And it's like, what if my soulmate doesn't speak English? What if my soulmate doesn't talk at all? So then, do I just not have a tattoo in that case if my soulmate's just completely mute and doesn't speak? And like, if my soulmate's words aren't in English, then like, what if I don't know what language that is? Yeah, like I'm gonna look at my arm and be like, yeah, that's definitely Lithuanian. I'm definitely gonna like go over there, and I'm never gonna fucking go there. I'm never gonna meet my soulmate at that point. That would be sad for the rest of my life. What do most people even say to each other either? It's not like your soulmate's gonna say something so special that is gonna be such a unique tattoo. I spend most of my day saying sorry to people. So like, the person who has sorry tattooed on their arm is gonna have a hard fucking time finding me because I'm apologizing to everyone I meet. Not even for like things like, oh, I spilled coffee on this person. Oh, sorry, I stepped on your shoes. No, I say sorry when I enter rooms because I'm sorry that I exist and that I'm filling your presence with me. So, you know, I apologize for being. So that as a trope doesn't really work because it has a lot of plot holes anyway. Because how is everyone finding their soulmate? What if people have multiple soulmates? What if, you know, you're just such an asshole that you deserve to be alone? There's a lot of plot holes with that one, and I just have a problem with it. I like romance best when it's two people who generally choose to be together despite any outside factors. I don't like romance when there's an outside force that is making these two characters be together. And that's what soulmate stories do. It's not them. They're not falling in love because of themselves. They're falling in love because some outside force is telling them that they're meant to be together. There's merit to the fact that two people might meet in weird circumstances, but decide, you know, this is who I want to be with. I like romance that's a choice. I don't like the driving force of romance to be they don't have a choice. So that's really what I think about the romance genre. To wrap it all up, you know, I used to really hate it, realize it was only some tropes that really bothered me about it, and the fact is now I'm a romance writer. I'm just trying to spread the love to the world from my bitter, bitter soul. And on that, my bitter soul and I are also doing a whole slew of other projects. I want to announce that I am starting 2 gaming series with these 2 games here. There's Catherine Fullbody, and then there's good old this, which is a horror game, so I can't play it by myself, but I will have a guest with me. And there's a whole slew of things I need to introduce you guys to. I don't know if you guys know this, but I work at Media Benders. Media Benders has a whole umbrella of content we're soon releasing, including Pace Yourself, a drunk interview show that I help host, and Media Benders Late Night, where I sometimes give non-alcoholic interviews to some of the real talented artists that are here. And you guys should check that out. You can see all of my featured channels, such as Media Benders, Pace Yourself, and the rest of that, which is all coming soon through my YouTube channel here, or you could check the description below.